Hello there, this is Daniel. Welcome back to my channel. I've tried this many times, and every time I would just come here and record a video with a list of, TBR list that I hoped I was going to be able to read, and then I ended up not reading anything, and then later on deleting the video. I did that about 4 times. So this time, I also this year I didn't read much. I started reading more again in September of this year, and instead of just coming here and recording a video with a list, I decided to read a bunch of things first, see what I could finish from September to December 2025, and then record a video. I did read quite a bit, more than I was hoping to, so I'm very happy about that. But yeah, so let's talk about my readings for 2025. These are not in any particular order. By the way, I read 6 mangas and 8 novels. So, all right, so let's get into it. Again, these are not in any particular order, but I would like to start with Freedom by Jonathan Franzen. As you can see, I did quite a bit of annotations on this book. I liked this until about page 320, 350. It was very entertaining, very well written. I like the structure, and yeah, Jonathan Franzen, he writes well, but after that, it just kind of becomes very sexist for one thing, and a little gross and repetitive. And I just overall, I'm glad that I read this because it was recommended to me by a friend. And the problem is, he recommended this to me and he said, this is very funny and I think you're going to love it because it's super funny. All right. There are some funny things happening in this book, I will say that. But after I had already started reading it. I was on page like 300 already, I believe. I was made aware that the person who recommended this to me actually didn't read it and thought this was something else. So, anyway, thanks. I read this. Did I like it? Yes, in the sense that I'm glad that I read it. Do I recommend it? No. I think that if you like this type of story, this is a big novella, right? So you follow the story, or it can also be called a construction romance, I believe, because you follow the story of this one family from both of their childhoods, and then until they get married, and then their kids' lives and things like that. So if you like this type of story, I think there are there are better options out there. I would like to read some of his non-fictional work. I think there are a collection of essays called, I think it's on the back of this book, or on the front. Let's see. Right, yeah. So there are a couple of non-fictions written by Jonathan Franzen that I would like to read. One of them is How to Be Alone. This is what I'm gonna read next. Just because I got a very bad vibe from this book overall. It gave me like that Bukowski vibe, which is too weird to my taste. Again, not everybody's gonna like every book, and people are entitled to different opinions. But I do not recommend this. Yeah, no, I do not recommend this. I'm glad that I read it. Don't recommend it. I think I gave this 3 stars, just because it was fluid up until page 300 and something, and I just hit my microphone. Page 300 and something, but then it kind of gets repetitive, and yeah, it's just an overall glad that I read it. Don't recommend it. All right, so let's move back. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna pick up 3 of these at a time. These are Freerin. These are so I'm very obsessed about this. My first contact with this was earlier this year, and I'm very happy about it because apparently this was released in 2022, 2023, and then the second season is going to be released on the 16th of January 2026. So if I had watched it when it was released, when the first season was released, I would have had to wait for a very long time before watching the second season. This is so good. It's so well developed, and I really do love the very deep thoughts and deep constructions that they put into this when it comes to being human. And basically this is the story of what happens to the mage, normally an immortal being. What happens to the mage after the big adventure, right? In this case, they just killed the Demon King. This is not spoilers, by the way. This is the point at which the story starts. And the first season covered from mangas 1 to 7. So for my birthday, I got the 8th, the 9th, wait, where's the number 9? Yeah, 8th, 9th, 10th. And then the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. These are very yeah, let me just pick one of them. These are very fast to read. Like, I think I spend maybe 45, 50 minutes to read the whole thing. it's just very good. I love this, and I love everything about it. It's just very it's just very pretty, and it's a very involving story. Well, really liked it. I'm very excited about the upcoming season. Again, it's going to be released on the 16th of January, and these are the 11th, 12th, and 13th. Very fun. My world of mangas and anime in general is not very well developed. I used to watch a lot of it as a kid, but as an adult, really just Frieren, and maybe a couple of episodes of I cannot remember the name. And I watch a lot of short circuit. I keep hitting this. I need to find a better placement for this, but for today's video, let's just keep it like this. All right. Again, not in any particular order, but the next one that I'm gonna mention is A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. I will say that I bought this book years ago when I was living in Ireland still, and I read until, I don't know, chapter maybe 8, and I kind of let go of it because I wasn't really involved in the story. Hemingway has a very interesting and very unique way of writing. It's very simple, I will say, in terms of the words used and the structures used. It's a very short sentences with a lot of periods and things like that. But it is a very interesting story. And I will say that it gets more involving after the chapter 10, because then you kind of, so because this was my first contact with Hemingway, it took a few chapters for me to actually get into his own mind, and maybe and try to understand where the story was going and how it was being developed. It's very tragic. This happens, so he volunteers for let me, so I don't say the wrong thing. He volunteered in 1918 to the war in Italy. And he was there, and he was fighting, and he was in the front lines. He was not in the front lines. My apologies. He was at times in the front lines, but he was an ambulance driver. So he was the part of the medical unit there. And at the very start of the book, a bomb explodes, and he almost loses both of his legs, has to go through surgery. And whilst he's waiting in this hospital, he meets I'm very bad with names, guys, so I'm not going to remember the name of the woman, the nurse, the woman that he falls in love with in this book. And then you follow their trajectory, and them talking to each other and making love and things like that. And it has a very tragic ending, very tragic. This is very good book. I think I gave 4 stars. It definitely made me want to read more of Hemingway, but I will say that I will space these readings a lot. Maybe next year or maybe 2027 I might read another Hemingway, but for now, this is good. Very happy I read it. This one I do recommend. Very good. The next one I would like to mention is a book that I don't have here. It's called, I read this in Portuguese, so I'm just going to say the title of it in Portuguese, and then, but it's called Os Dois Morrem no Final. It's about a world where you have this death line, and they call to let you know that you're going to die in the next 24 hours, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to die. And it's very interesting, the way that the author put together. I also don't remember the name of the author, I apologize, but it's interesting how he put this world together, and the few storylines that we follow there, and the fact that the characters, one is bisexual and the other one is gay, as far as I could understand. It's interesting. It's good. It's a trilogy, as I understand it, but I did not think, though, that book called for anything else, so I'm not gonna read the other two. That was good. It was, I think I gave 3 stars. It was very quick to read, also very simple in structure, very simple in vocabulary as well. But it's good. Do I recommend it? Not sure. I guess so. If you have time, if you have extra time, or if you're in the middle of a reading slump, that's the kind of book that kind of helps you, because it's like 300 pages long and it's very fast to read. So, it kind of gives you that sense of, oh my God, I accomplished something, which is great. All right, moving on. This might be one of my, this definitely is one of my favorite books of all time, so after I finished reading, and I'm talking about Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brunt. I believe that's how you pronounce it, but as a lot of people out there, I often will pronounce this Bronte, but I know that it's wrong in any case. I'm not going to extend myself too much. Everyone knows the story of Jane Eyre. This is extremely well written. It's very complicated. English is my second language, although I speak it very well. There are words in here that I did not know, and many, many words that I did not know. And this Penguins Classics editions, they are very good because they have notes at the end, and it explains a little bit about the context and in which this story was written, and some words that we don't use anymore. They explain what it means. This is very good. I will definitely be reading this again in Portuguese in the next year. So just because I feel like I lost maybe 10-20% of the story just due to this very complex, and I'm not the kind of person that sometimes I will stop and then look at the dictionary and try to see what the word means, but most of the time I will just keep reading and understand it through context. If it's something that I really like, the word, for example, tenacity, I think it's a nice word, and I don't know what it means, then I will write it down and look for the meaning. But in general, I don't do that. Maybe it's something that I should change. I'll think about it. But I will be reading this. I recommend this full heart. It's just awesome. And the way that she describes loneliness and just that melancholy, and just everything that she did that was for herself and for others, and the way in which she falls in love, and it just proceeds. It's a very involving, very interesting story. I really, really, really loved this, and I also love this cover. Very nice. All right, moving on. I read this 3 times already. The first time, oh my god, I really do need to change the. Anyways, all right. So, I read this 3 times already. The first 2 times it was back to back in 2021, and the second time was in December of this year. So like a couple of days ago, I finished this, and I'm talking about The Willows by Arjun and Blackwood. You can find the PDF both for this story, both in Portuguese and in English, for free online. So just Google it, The Willows PDF. This is amazing. It's awesome. His description. The description that he makes of things is just extremely involving, very magical. It's just very it's just very well developed, and I think I can just give an example. So let me get an example here. In high flood, this great acreage of sand, shingle beds, and willow-grown islands is almost topped by the water, but in normal seasons the bushes bend and rustle in the free winds, showing their silver leaves to the sunshine in an ever-moving plain of bewildering beauty. And I just think this is a very well put together sentence, and you can find more examples of this um, as the not the movie, as the book, as the story goes. This is very short. You can totally read this in one sitting. It will take about 2 hours, I will say, if you're reading very carefully, which I did, just because I really love the story, and it's the third time that I was reading it, and it's just very awesome. It's just very awesome and very well put together. Let me see if I can find another example, because this is very nice. The shaking willows and the heavy buffeting of the wind against our taut little house were the last things I remember as sleep came down and covered all with its soft and delicious forgetfulness. It's just very awesome. Like, I recommend this to everyone. Literally everyone. This is very, very good. And I will be reading it again next year for sure. Oh, by the way, this just follows the trajectory of this two I'm very bad with names, even though I've read it 3 times to remember. But it's this couple of friends, 2 men. They are going down this river, in Vienna. It passes through Vienna, and they just keep going, with the river until they reach this very desolate, without any population and any human contact of any kind. And there's just a vast sea of willow trees, willow bushes, not the willow trees, but the willow bushes, and they shift kind of on their own, and you have the power of the elements going around, and the characters kind of going insane with all this uh, going on, and the feeling that they were being watched, that the willows were somehow hostile to them, right? This is just very nice, a very good story. Totally recommend it. Moving on, I read in Portuguese also The Metamorphosis, translated to A Metamorfose in Portuguese. This is very good. It's a very sad book. It's different than what I initially thought. So my original idea, my original thought about the story was that um, he woke up one day and had like one leg was of a cockroach, and he would slowly transition into this being. And when he wakes up, he's already that full cockroach. And what he starts to lose as the book goes is his humanity. And the first thing that he thinks here is that, oh my god, I'm not going to be able to go to work and support my family. This is just an overall very sad book. It's very short as well. You can read this in one go. I didn't, but you totally can. I like this a lot. We'll be reading this again in the near future for sure, because what I understood from this book, from the end of this book, is that his sister also turns into a cockroach by the end of it. But my cousin read it. My cousin read it, and she didn't get the same feel. So I'm not sure. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think. But I think she also turns into a cockroach by the end of this book. Recommend this. It's very short, so even if you don't like it, you're not gonna spend a lot of time of your life on it. So really recommend this. Moving on, I read this book by Holly Black. Again, I read this in Portuguese, so I don't know the the title in Portuguese, but it's called Boneca de Ossos. This is a book for children. This is very it's for kids. It's for kids. I would say like between maybe 9 to 12, 13. But it's just very nice. It's a, I was This was one of the first books I picked up after this very long reading slump, and it because it's fast and it's a very heartfelt and heartwarming story. I liked it. I recommend it if you have the time. Very good. Holly Black has a very fluid, again, very simple style of writing. Very nice. Just very good. You follow the story of Poppy, Zach, and Alice. I'm reading it here. And there's this doll that Poppy's mom has. And this doll is somehow like weird and ghostly and seems like she's alive. And then you follow the story of them like trying to put the doll back to their grave, to its grave, and it's nice. It's an adventure, very good. I like this. Yeah, very good. I recommend it. Moving on, I read the Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. I did not like this at all. It's a very big book. Did not like this at all. At first, I was interested in what the story had to say, but he did not create a very good world here. This was not very well developed. Every single bit of description is done via comparison. Like, and her eyes were as cold as ice, and the rain was as sharp as knives, and things like that. And throughout this enormous book, he doesn't do anything else other than comparing one thing to the other in this, I will say, lost attempt to sound deep and meaningful. Do not recommend this. Didn't like this book. Again, this was very fast to read, but don't waste your time. Really, really, this book really did not work for me. And this was the last book I finished, I believe. Yes, no, it was The Willows, but this was the last novel I finished, and this is, just to close the year with a golden key, as we say in Brazil. This is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I also read this in Portuguese. It was translated to A Redoma de Vidro. Very good. This is a very good translation, and I absolutely adore this story. It's very Esther here. She has very bad, just depression, and she's very sad, and the thoughts that she has here are thoughts that I found very relatable, I will say, and I thought that everybody thought like this, but apparently not. But in any case, I totally recommend this. You follow this the trajectory of Esther. She just won this scholarship, and she's going to spend a month in New York working for this magazine, and a lot of things happen there. And then she comes back home from this internship, and then she goes deeper into this depression. A lot of bad things happen, but it's done in a way that you know that it's from a very personal point of view, because Shiva Plath has a very tragic history. If you don't know, she has a very tragic story. So if you don't know, it's where I'm not gonna mention it here, but it's worth reading about it so you can understand more what Esther is going through in this book and why this book is so important and so deep. I really, really recommend this, not to children in any way, shape, or form. I think you should be at the very least 17, maybe 18 years old to understand this a little better, and not be totally influenced by Esther here, because she's not a good influence in the sense that she needed help and she goes to get help at this hospital. Right. So if you're too young, I think this might be a bad influence to you, but I still recommend it. It's very well written. We'll definitely be reading more of Sylvia Plath in the future. And that's it. I'm very happy that after not reading for so long, I finally managed to read all this, and I liked most of what I read. So good. This is it. I will not make any promises of videos. I thought, because I'm very excited about this and I was able to get all this done, I will most likely be recording a video on my TBR for 2026. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching it so far. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And comments are always welcomed. Even if it's negative, just keep it respectful. And that's it. See you guys next.